The 21st of January, 1953, dawned bitter and sharp over the snow-covered hills and frozen river valleys of Manchuria. The air carried the biting scent of frost and aviation fuel, a harsh reminder of the winter in which the Korean War had entrenched itself. Dolphin D. Overton III, a pilot with the 16th Fighter Interceptor Squadron, 51st Fighter Wing, stepped across the frost-lined ramp at Suwon Air Base, his boots crunching on frozen tarmac. His F-86E Sabre, tail number FU-631, gleamed in the weak sunlight. Known among the squadron as Dolph's Devil, or sometimes Angel in Disguise, the sleek silver fighter was armed with 6 M3 Browning, 50 caliber machine guns, and primed for the day's first patrol. This mission would mark the beginning of a 4-day streak that would see him achieve 5 confirmed aerial victories, an extraordinary feat in the compressed timeline of jet warfare. Climbing into the cockpit, he settled into the warm, tight confines, strapping himself in as instruments flickered to life. The canopy closed, enclosing him in a bubble of focused silence. Around him, ground crew made final adjustments, their breath rising in pale clouds. Engines roared as 4 Sabres lined up on the runway, wings glinting under the pale winter sun. With a final check of throttle response and flaps, the formation accelerated down the tarmac, the airframe vibrating with raw power. The Sabre lifted gracefully into the thin, frigid air, its silver fuselage cutting through the morning haze with surgical precision. The climb to patrol altitude was steady, exact. 12,000 feet became his domain, high enough to observe enemy patterns yet low enough to exploit the Sabre's energy advantage against MiG-15s. Visibility was clear, but maintaining airspeed and energy management was critical. 4 aircraft in formation, he flew in the standard diamond pattern, each wingman perfectly spaced. The F-86's rudimentary radar offered only range and orientation. Visual identification remained paramount. Overton's eyes scanned the frozen ridges and river valleys below, alert for even the faintest hint of Soviet-designed MiG-15s, whose speed, ceiling, and maneuverability made them dangerous opponents in the vertical plane. Hours passed with quiet vigilance, punctuated by radio check-ins and the occasional glint of sunlight on distant ice. Knowledge of enemy routines had been painstakingly memorized. Overton had studied Soviet MiG patrol and landing patterns through repeated observations at radar installations on Chodu Island. He knew the routes, the timing, the altitude bands the enemy favored for takeoff and landing. His strategy was tactical and deliberate. He planned to approach undetected, often masking his approach by flying racetrack orbits between the MiG's landing zones and the sun, where the bright glare would render his silhouette almost invisible. He had disabled his IFF, identification friend or faux transponder, removing the telltale electronic signature that could betray him to radar-guided searches. Every movement, every climb, every roll was calculated for maximum tactical advantage. At approximately 0900 hours, a distant flash caught the corner of his eye. 2 MiG-15s appeared at high speed, climbing rapidly over the ridges below. The aircraft were silver with dark red star insignia, their afterburners flaring as they surged upward. He signaled his formation to engage, dropping into a steep dive to gain positional advantage, the Sabre slicing through the icy air. Rules of engagement were simple yet unforgiving: maintain discipline, communicate clearly with wingmen, and always maximize energy advantages, particularly during vertical maneuvers. The first MiG attempted to outclimb him, banking sharply to gain altitude. He maneuvered his Sabre into a deflection shot position, aiming where the enemy would be, not where it currently was. Short, controlled bursts from his 6 M3 Browning 50 caliber machine guns sent tracer rounds arcing through the cold sky. Each round was measured, deliberate. Ammunition conservation was critical during extended patrols. The MiG's fuselage smoked as rounds punctured the metal, control surfaces shuddering under the impact. It began a spiraling descent behind enemy lines. A quick glance to his wingmen confirmed the kill. The aircraft was no longer in control, the first of the day's victories secured. The second MiG, witnessing the fate of its companion, attempted evasive maneuvers. It rolled sharply, banking into the sun to obscure its position, then dove toward a lower ridge in a desperate attempt to break line of sight. He anticipated the maneuver, adjusting his trajectory to maintain energy superiority. Speed and altitude were his allies. Using the Saber's agility at high subsonic velocity, he maintained position on the MiG's tail. Tracer rounds streaked from his guns, striking the fuselage and wings. The enemy aircraft's left wing flared and collapsed, sending it into an uncontrollable spin toward the frozen valley below. Visual confirmation and later debriefs verified the kill. 2 MiG-15s destroyed in a single patrol. An extraordinary start for a pilot on his first day of aerial engagement in this tour. Even after the engagement, caution remained paramount. The patrol reformed, maintaining vigilance against additional threats. Radio communications were precise, with position confirmations and anomaly reporting conducted without delay. He monitored engine temperatures, airspeed, and fuel levels, balancing immediate threats with long-term mission sustainability. Each maneuver was executed with a combination of practiced instinct and tactical discipline, honed from prior missions flying the F-84 Thunderjet during his first tour, where he had completed over 100 sorties as a fighter bomber. The lessons learned then: anticipating enemy maneuvers, energy management, and disciplined gunnery, were now applied with deadly precision in the jet age of the Korean War. Return to base required the same discipline as the attack. He executed a smooth, controlled landing, taxiing to the debrief area where squadron officers awaited. Reports were precise. 2 MiG-15s destroyed, his aircraft unharmed, no casualties among the flight. He provided detailed tactical insights, climbing for positional advantage, maintaining visual contact, executing deflection shots, and carefully managing speed to conserve energy for subsequent engagements. The 21st of January, 1953, concluded with the successful completion of his first patrol. 2 confirmed MiG kills had cemented his reputation as a capable fighter pilot. The day showcased his exceptional situational awareness, tactical acumen, and marksmanship, marking the first step in a remarkable streak that would define the rest of his tour. The snow-covered ridges and frozen river valleys of Manchuria seemed to hold a silent acknowledgment of his achievement, the morning's icy calm masking the deadly precision of jet-age aerial warfare. The 22nd of January, 1953, began with a chill that penetrated even the thickest flight jacket. Snow still clung to the ridges of Manchuria, and the low sun glinted off icy river bends like frozen silver. The previous day's mission lingered in the minds of the squadron. 2 MiG-15s destroyed by Dolphin D. Overton III. A first-day triumph that had impressed veteran pilots and left intelligence officers scribbling notes in their logs. Today, the mission required equal vigilance. Today's patrol would take him over familiar ridges, but the MiG's unpredictable timing meant constant alertness was essential. The formation lifted off in crisp, disciplined succession. Overton's flight consisted of 4 aircraft, a standard diamond formation. Each pilot assigned a specific role in attack and defense. Communications were reduced to hand signals and brief radio bursts, avoiding unnecessary chatter that could compromise tactical stealth. The climb to 12,000 feet was steady, deliberate. From this altitude, the Sabre could utilize its superior energy retention to outmaneuver the MiGs in horizontal and vertical combat, though the enemy jets remained faster in a pure vertical climb. Hours into the patrol, the first signs of enemy presence appeared. 2 MiG-15s emerged over a ridge, silhouetted against the pale morning sun. Overton's heart quickened, but his approach remained calculated. He dove below the enemy formation, allowing the sun to mask his position, a tactic he had perfected over previous patrols. The MiGs remained unaware, focused on their standard racetrack patterns above the frozen landscape. From this concealed vantage, he executed a high-speed intercept, closing to firing range without alerting his adversaries. The first MiG caught in his line of fire was engaged with short, precise bursts from his 6 Browning 50 caliber machine guns. Each burst was timed to maximize effect without wasting ammunition. Tracers arced through the crisp air, striking fuselage and control surfaces. Smoke began to trail from the enemy's engine, its flight path destabilized. He allowed the MiG to spiral downward, confirming visually with a quick scan to his wingman that the kill was complete. The second MiG attempted evasive maneuvers, banking sharply to break line of sight. Overton anticipated the maneuver, adjusting his own vector to maintain tailing position. The Saber's superior handling at high subsonic speed allowed him to stay on the MiG's tail despite its frantic attempts to escape. Another series of controlled bursts struck the enemy aircraft, sending it into a tight, spinning descent. Patience and discipline had once again yielded results. By the end of the 22nd, one MiG was confirmed destroyed, bringing his total to 3 in just 2 days. This incremental progress was critical, each engagement a carefully measured balance between aggression and caution. Overton was aware that every kill increased scrutiny from command. He had crossed the Yalu River during his previous patrol, entering Forbidden's airspace over Manchuria. Today, his maneuvers stayed closer to sanctioned zones, but he remained alert for opportunities that might present themselves during enemy landings or patrol deviations. On the 23rd, the notorious Heller mission loomed, a high-risk flight deep into Manchurian territory. Squadron Commander Edwin L. Ed Heller, a seasoned ace with 3.5 MiG kills, led the formation. Overton occupied a secondary position, often second or fourth in the line, where he could observe and react to enemy behavior while remaining within the protective envelope of the flight. This mission involved aggressive hunting for MiG formations far north of the Yalu, up to 150 miles into Chinese territory. The airspace was forbidden, the risks monumental, yet the tactical advantage offered the chance to exploit MiG routines and achieve rapid victories. The formation climbed into the pale sky, the sabers slicing through icy layers of atmosphere. Overton's mind ran through every tactical consideration: altitude management, sun positioning, wingman coverage, ammunition conservation, and escape routes in case of engine failure or heavy enemy fire. The MiGs appeared near a ridge, executing a standard patrol orbit, unaware of the approaching threat. Overton positioned himself below the formation, using the sun to blind and obscure. His F-86E responded instantly to throttle and stick input, a precise extension of his own reflexes. One MiG was engaged with disciplined, non-deflection bursts at close range, the rounds finding their target on the fuselage and wing. The aircraft flared, smoke trailing from its engine, and spiraled toward the earth. This kill, officially credited, was one of the 5 that would cement his ace status. Other claims on this mission remained disputed. Some sources suggest 2 additional MiGs were downed but went uncredited due to deep penetration into Manchurian airspace. Regardless, the successful engagement demonstrated Overton's mastery of the F-86 and his ability to exploit enemy vulnerabilities. The 24th brought the final victory of the streak. The day began under similar conditions: icy skies, low sun, and the tense awareness that every patrol could be the last. Overton flew in formation over standard patrol zones, scanning for MiGs during takeoff or landing. One MiG emerged over the ridge, unaware of the Saber lurking below. Positioning himself with careful calculation, he closed the distance, maintaining energy superiority. Short bursts of fire struck the aircraft, destabilizing its flight and sending it into an unrecoverable dive. With this kill, Overton officially achieved ace status, his 5th confirmed MiG destroyed in 4 days. Each engagement during these 3 days was characterized by meticulous attention to detail. Overton's tactics combined patience, observation, and precise execution. He exploited the MiG's predictable landing patterns, used sun positioning for concealment, and engaged only when the odds favored his success. He disabled electronic transponders to avoid detection, relied on visual gunnery rather than the Saber's radar sight, and conserved ammunition for moments of decisive impact. The F-86E's strength, speed, handling, and armament were employed with the exacting precision of a master craftsman, turning each patrol into a carefully choreographed battle of life and death. By the conclusion of the 24th, Overton's streak had drawn attention from the squadron and intelligence officers alike. He had proven that careful study, preparation, and tactical acumen could overcome numerical and positional disadvantages. His victories were the product not of luck but of disciplined observation, calculated aggression, and unerring skill in the cockpit. The icy ridges of Manchuria and the frozen river valleys of northern Korea had become the proving ground for one of the most rapid ascensions to ace status in the Korean War, a testament to the lethal precision of Dolphin D Overton III in the unforgiving skies of MiG Alley. January 23, 1953, dawned with an icy stillness that belied the chaos soon to unfold in the skies above northern Korea and Manchuria. Dolphin D Overton III prepared for a high-risk patrol under the leadership of Squadron Commander Edwin L. Ed Heller, a seasoned ace with 3.5 MiG kills to his name. The mission had been planned meticulously, yet it carried an inherent risk that made the stomach tighten of even the most seasoned pilots. It involved deep penetration into Manchurian airspace, a zone explicitly forbidden under U.S. rules of engagement. Washington feared escalation with China or the Soviet Union, yet the squadron faced 10-to-1 odds against MiGs if they adhered strictly to the Yalu River boundary. The formation took off from Suwon Air Base in the pre-dawn twilight. The F-86Es cut through icy morning fog with mechanical precision, their polished fuselages catching the pale sunlight. Overton occupied a position slightly behind Heller, allowing him to observe the enemy while remaining protected by the flight leader. This positioning was deliberate. As the rearmost pilot, he had the ability to exploit mistakes made by the MiGs, cover wingmen under fire, and assess opportunities without being the initial focus of the enemy. The squadron flew north, following a calculated course that skirted radar coverage and maximized the element of surprise. Overton's mind rehearsed every tactical option: climb and divert maneuvers, energy management in vertical and horizontal engagements, precise burst firing, and the importance of maintaining situational awareness while tracking multiple hostile aircraft. Overton had memorized MiG patrol and landing patterns from previous reconnaissance at Chodu Island, and today he would exploit that knowledge to its fullest. Upon approaching the Manchurian ridges, the first MiG-15s appeared, engaged in racetrack orbits over a frozen valley. Heller led the charge, diving from altitude to intercept, while Overton followed with disciplined precision. The enemy aircraft were fast, agile, and equipped with powerful cannons, but the Sabre 6 Browning 50 caliber machine guns, when deployed with Overton's calculated bursts, proved devastating at close range. Overton fired non-deflection shots from short distance, relying on visual acuity rather than the Sabre's radar gun sight. Tracers lanced through the cold air, striking fuselage and wing, and MiG after MiG began to spiral downward in smoke-filled descents. One aircraft was officially credited as Overton's kill that day. Witnesses within the formation reported seeing additional MiGs fall, but due to the incursion into Manchurian airspace, these claims were later denied by command. Some historians, including Doran Lake in Korean Air War, suggest that 2 more victories were achieved, but officially unacknowledged to avoid international complications. Others, like Werrell and Sabrejet vs. MiG-15, confirm only a single kill for Overton that day. Regardless, the engagement demonstrated his tactical mastery. He flew racetrack orbits between the MiG's landing zones and the sun, masking his approach, striking with precise bursts, and disappearing before the enemy could respond. Heller himself was not so fortunate. Leading the formation, he engaged 2 MiGs but was struck by ground fire or possibly an enemy aircraft. His F-86 went down behind enemy lines. Overton witnessed the crash from roughly 150 miles north, powerless to intervene. Heller survived but suffered a compound leg fracture and was taken prisoner, later repatriated on May 30, 1955, after enduring torture. His forced confession that the border crossing was ordered added fuel to the scrutiny that would soon engulf Overton. Upon return, the squadron faced immediate investigation. The deep penetration north of the Yalu River, combined with reports from Swiss observers at Panmunjom who had witnessed un-MiG dogfights in Manchuria, triggered a formal inquiry. Overton's 5 confirmed victories, including those from the 21st to 24th, were suddenly under review. Command was particularly concerned with setting a precedent. Hundreds of tacitly authorized violations had occurred previously, yet Overton's rapid streak and the visibility of the Heller mission brought unprecedented attention. On January 25th, Overton was grounded. His temporary rank of captain was reduced to first lieutenant, and he was reprimanded for insubordination in a scathing efficiency report. Awards for his actions, including 2 Distinguished Flying Crosses and 4 Silver Stars, were denied, effectively erasing official recognition of his feats at the time. Fellow pilots, including Francis "Gabby" Gabreski, defended the tactics, asserting that violations were necessary to maintain air superiority, yet Overton became the scapegoat for a wider policy of Yalu incursions. Despite the reprimand, declassified documents and subsequent appeals confirmed the legitimacy of Overton's victories. The total of 5 confirmed MiG kills, plus 1 damaged, occurred during missions that involved deep knowledge of enemy patterns, exceptional situational awareness, and tactical precision. He had disabled his IFF transponder to avoid detection, used the sun for concealment, and engaged MiGs with controlled bursts from close range. Every kill was the result of deliberate strategy and mastery of aerial combat principles. The controversy surrounding the Heller mission and Overton's uncredited victories underscores the tension between operational necessity and political constraint. U.S. pilots regularly violated the Yalu River boundary to confront superior MiG numbers, yet Overton bore the brunt of scrutiny. Discrepancies in reports ranging from the date of the 5th confirmed kill, January 24th or 25th, to the number of MiGs destroyed on January 23rd reflect both lost documentation, including the National Archives fire of 1973, and deliberate sanitization to protect international relations. For Overton, the immediate aftermath was bitter. He resigned his commission shortly after returning stateside, a decision influenced by the combination of punishment, lack of recognition, and political entanglements. Yet the story did not end there. In the 1990s, he reconnected with the Air Force through Lieutenant General Charles G. Cleveland and received invitations to the Gathering of Eagles in 1999 and again in 2008. The final vindication came in 2009 when General Norton Schwartz presented Overton with the Distinguished Service Cross, formalizing the recognition delayed by 57 years. Official citations relocated the victories to North Korean sites such as Insadong and Yue, a symbolic nod to political sensitivities, but the record acknowledged his skill, courage, and impact on the war. The Heller mission, once a source of controversy and censure, now serves as a case study in the complexities of aerial combat under restrictive rules of engagement. Overton's actions highlight the precision, patience, and strategic thinking required to succeed in MiG Alley, as well as the political pressures faced by pilots operating in contested airspace. His 5 confirmed kills, achieved in a compressed span of 4 days, remain among the fastest ascensions to ace status in the Korean War. The disputed kills, denied at the time, continue to spark debate among historians, illustrating the blurred line between operational necessity and official sanction. By the close of January 25th, Overton's reputation had shifted from that of an insurgent pilot defying rules to a master tactician whose methods preserved the lives of his wingmen and maintained air superiority against overwhelming odds. His story is a testament to skill, courage, and the enduring challenge of reconciling battlefield realities with political oversight, a narrative that resonates in the study of modern air warfare and the human cost of decision-making at the edge of conflict.